All right, Nana. Now see here. So now we're gonna look into conceptual theory. Okay, types of cost. Okay. Now hereafter, every single theory that we're gonna see is very important for us for solving what Nana problems. Are you able to get me? If you don't understand this, there is no question of solving any standard costing problem. So therefore, this is important. Let's move on. Ready? Yeah? Right. So already what we have seen so far is dry theory, which probably if direct questions are asked on theory in your examination, we'll be answering that. But now we are not looking into dry theory. We're looking into what, Nana? Exactly, conceptual theory. So let's move on. I'll just double check it one more time. All right. Ready? Yeah? Everybody? Chalo, now. So what are the types of costs that we have got? So many people basically they don't understand this one because they always get confused between budgeted costs and standard costs. So you have to be very careful here. So how many types of costs that we have got? Three types of cost. What are they? Budgeted cost, standard cost, and actual cost. So if you look at budgeted cost, it is budgeted output into budgeted cost per unit. Budgeted cost per unit can also be called as standard cost per unit. Okay, right. Coming on to standard cost, you will not be taking budgeted output. Instead, you will be taking what? Actual output. But you will be multiplying that with the same budgeted cost per unit. So which means this portion is budgeted and this portion is what? Actual. So it's a mix of both. That's why it is called standard cost. Clear? And finally, you have something called actual cost, which is actual into actual. Got it? So budgeted cost and actual cost are very easy. This is budget into budget. This is actual into actual. What will trouble you always is what, Nana? Standard cost, which is actual into budget in this case. Got the point? So this is very important. Now, so therefore, now you know the meaning. Budgeted cost means budgeted output into budgeted cost per unit. Now remember, budgeted cost per unit and standard cost per unit are same. But budgeted cost in total and standard cost in total are different. Because when it comes to per unit, both are same. Budget cost is 5 rupees means standard cost is also 5 rupees. But in total, why there is difference? Because this 5 rupees will be multiplied with 1000 units, which is budgeted output. The same 5 rupees will be multiplied with 800 units, which is actual output. Therefore, when it comes to total, it will change. But when it comes to per unit, they are same. Are you able to get me? When it comes to per unit, they are same. Am I clear? Everybody? All right, chalo. Now, if somebody asks you what is the difference between budgeted cost and standard cost, I know that this is same. What is the only difference? Here it is actual output, here it is budgeted output. Therefore, the basic difference is volume. Correct? The basic difference is volume. Because here you multiply with budgeted output to get budgeted cost. Here you multiply with actual output to get what, Nana? Standard cost. Is this clear? Right. Actual cost is very easy. Actual output into actual cost per unit. Now, in other words, budgeted cost is nothing but what you plan. Okay? Actual cost is nothing but what you have actually incurred. Standard cost is nothing but what you allow. Very important. Now, all the cost variances that we are going to calculate in this particular chapter is the difference between what you allow and what you incur. It is not the difference between what you plan and what you incur. So this is where many people, they don't have clarity. They always feel that variances or cost variances in standard costing is the difference between budgeted cost and actual cost, which is absolutely wrong. It is not the difference between budget and actual. It is not the difference between cost planned and cost incurred. It is the difference between what you allow and what you incur. In other words, it is the difference between standard cost and actual cost. Got it? Everybody? Right. This is very, 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 very important. Are we done with this? Right. Moving on to next one. Now tell me, how many types of cost we have? Three types of cost. What are they? Budgeted cost, standard cost, actual cost. What is budgeted cost? Budgeted output into budgeted cost per unit. What is the other name for budgeted cost per unit? Standard cost per unit. Okay. Next, coming on to second one. What is second one? Standard cost. What is standard cost formula? Actual output into budgeted cost per unit or standard cost per unit. Third one is what? Actual cost. What is the formula for actual cost? Actual output into actual cost per unit. Now, what is the difference between standard cost and budgeted cost? Volume. Volume. Budget cost can also be called as cost planned. Standard cost can also be called as cost allowed, and actual cost can also be called as. Now, cost variances, whatever we are going to learn in standard costing, are the difference between what and what? Standard cost and actual cost. In other words, what you plan versus, sorry, what you allow versus what you incur, right? It has got nothing to do with what you have planned, which is nothing but budgeted cost. Got the point? So your cost variances are the difference between standard cost and actual cost. Clear? Moving on. Same as cost, you also have three types of profit. Okay, what are the three types of profit? Budgeted profit, standard profit, actual profit. The logic remains the same. You take budgeted sales, you multiply with budgeted margin per unit. Margin means profit. You get budgeted profit. Okay, if you take actual sales and you multiply with budgeted margin per unit, you get standard profit. You take actual sales and you multiply with actual margin per unit, you get actual profit. Simple. So this and this are easy. Budgeted sales into budgeted profit per unit is budgeted profit in total. Actual sales into actual profit per unit is nothing but actual profit in total. Actual sales into budgeted profit per unit will give you standard profit. Again, the difference between these two is nothing but volume. Clear? Now, same goes with overheads. This is not something new. We have seen this in overheads chapter. Correct? We have three types of overheads. What are they? Budgeted overheads, absorbed or standard overheads, and actual overheads. What is budgeted overheads? Budgeted output into budgeted rate per unit, which can also be called as standard rate, which can also be called as absorption rates, which can also be called as recovery rate, which can also be called as predetermined rate. Clear? Absorbed or standard overheads means we'll take budgeted rate only, but we multiply with actual output. So the difference between these two is what, Nana? Volume. Actual overheads is nothing but actual output into actual rate. So whether it is three types of overheads, or it is three types of profit, or it is three types of cost, the concept is pretty much the same. Got it? Bol rahe everybody? Clear? Right. Fantastic. Let's move on. Now we'll come to types of variances. Now, there are two types of variances, Nana, which I told you already. One is favorable variance, the other one is what? Adverse variance. See, usually what students are taught is, if a variance is positive, then it is favorable. If a variance is negative, then it is adverse. That is what they are taught. But logically speaking, that is not correct. So, because if your budgeted cost is 5,000, your actual cost is 4,000, favorable or adverse? Favorable. If your budgeted profit is 5,000, your actual profit is 4,000, favorable or adverse? I told you same numbers in both the cases, but in one case it became favorable, in another case it became adverse. So therefore, we cannot say that plus is favorable and minus is adverse. So logically speaking, of course, that is a shortcut, but actual meaning is anything that has got positive effect on your profit is favorable. Anything that has got negative effect on your profit is adverse, which means when you calculate a variance, you need to understand what is its effect on the profit. So we have to think whether it will increase the profit or it will reduce the profit. If it increases the profit, it will be favorable variance. If it reduces the profit, it will be adverse variance. Clear? So any variance that has the effect of increasing your actual profit is favorable. Any variance that has the effect of decreasing your actual profit is adverse. Simple. Are we done with this? Chalo. Now let's come to the actual chapter. So what are the types of variances we have got? Cost variance and sales variance. Anyways, so this I will strike it off because this is not there in your syllabus. Okay. So we don't have sales variances. What we have is only what, Nana? Cost variance. Already I've removed the rest of the sales variances also from your material. This one thing I forgot. That's okay. You don't have sales variances in your syllabus. Okay. Earlier it used to be. Now, only cost variances. Under cost variances, how many are there? We know the elements. There are three elements. What are they? Material, labor, overheads. And even in overheads, we have two overheads. What are they? Variable and fixed. That's all. This is your syllabus. If you are done with all these variances, we are done with our syllabus of standard costing. That's all. You don't have anything else. Got it? Clear? So what are the variances that we have? Material, labor, overheads, which is nothing but variable and fixed overheads. That's it. Nothing else we have. This is not there in our syllabus. Got it? Moving on. Now, so this is one of the frequently asked questions by students with respect to standard costing. Every batch I used to get this. One is, Some say go for logics to calculate variances because logics are better. Some say go for formula to calculate variances because you can do it faster. Correct? What's my answer? Huh? So if it is ICA exam, go for both. Both in the sense you have to understand the logics plus you need to learn the formula. Because ours is a quantitative exam because time is a constraint for us. You have to do faster, solve sums faster. But if it's international exams like CIMA or ACCA, you can purely go for logics. No need to learn formulae because lots of time will be available in the examination hall. So you can happily sit quite calmly. You can think, you can apply the logics and then you can solve it. In our exam, if you sit quietly and then you start thinking, then obviously you'll be able to attempt 50 marks. Remaining 15, got it? So therefore, since right now we are discussing about Desi exams, we have to learn both. We have to understand the logics. We also need to understand what? Formulae to make things faster. I mean, to solve things faster. Got it? Is this clear? Moku. Clear? Right. Fantastic. Now let's start with the variance calculation. Ready? Yeah? We'll start with the first one. So first we'll try to learn the formulae. Okay? After that, what we'll do? We will present the answers according to ICA only. But to do that, first we need to go through this methodology. Only then it will be easy for us. Otherwise, what happens is that I've seen many of the students, they are by hearting each and every solution. It doesn't work that way. Are you able to understand? So again, we believe in the same thing that we have done in the last chapters. So we follow a particular procedure. But when it comes to presentation, we'll do it as per ICA. That adjustments we'll make. Got it? Yes? Okay. Now, the first adjustment will be, here I've written RAQ, na? This will be called as RSQ in your ICA. So your CA inter ICA material is still calling it as a RSQ. Your final ICA material is calling it as RAQ. Got the point? So right now you learn it as RSQ. Once you go to final, you call it as RAQ. Got the point? So which one is correct? RAQ is correct, obviously, but JICA. Okay? What, Nana? Yes. Are we done? Once I explain you the logic behind that, you'll understand. Anyways, chalo, shall we move on? Right. I think the time is up. We'll not have time to finish this off, but anyway, we'll just have a look at it and then we'll move on. Right, see, Anna. First, we'll try to learn the procedure. We'll focus on the procedure and then we'll go for the logics. Okay? What is the procedure first? Material cost variance. Hey, fellas, see, material cost variance. Then it will be divided into two. What are they? Price variance and usage variance. MPV means material price variance. Then you have material usage variance. Then material usage variance will be further classified into material mix variance and material yield variance. Got the point? Now, you know that for price variance, who is responsible? Purchasing department. And for usage variance, who is responsible? Production department. Next, these two variances will come only when you have multiple raw materials. What is that? Multiple raw materials. For example, suppose you are manufacturing gold ornaments. You need gold as well as copper as your raw material. So more than one is there. Only in those cases, you'll be getting mix variance and yield variance. Suppose there is only single raw material. Okay, only one raw material. Then these two will not come, which means you will stop here itself. So which means if it is single raw material, your material cost variance will be divided into what, Nana? Price and usage. If it is multiple raw material, then your material cost variance will be divided into price and usage. And again, usage will be further divided into what? Mix and yield. Clear? Here M means mix, this is yield, this is usage, this is price. Got it? Sure. Now, we have certain formulas over here. Okay, before we get to this, let's try to understand what are these formulae. First, one. What is one? SQ into SP. You have to remember like that only. Okay, we're gonna go with the procedure, we're gonna by heart it. Then I'll teach you the logics. Because even if I teach you the logics and if I don't teach you the formula, time is not sufficient for you in the examination hall to apply the logics and solve the sum. Ours is a quantitative exam. ICA conducts quantitative exam, not qualitative exam. Therefore, you have to do it fast. Now, what is one? SQ into SP. 2, AQ into AP. Say along with me. 3, AQ into SP. 4, RAQ into SP. But hereafter we're going to call it as RSQ. Or otherwise you remember as RAQ only, because otherwise logic will not sync with us. While writing in the examination, we'll just change the A with yes. While solving the sums, we'll do that. That would be better. Okay. Right. Now tell me, what is 1? SQ into SP. What is 2? AQ into AP. 3, AQ into SP. 4, RAQ into SP. Clear? RAQ into SP. We'll stick with RAQ. While solving the sum, we'll change it to RSQ. Clear? Right. Now look at the formula. Material price variance. What is the formula? First we'll start from here. Cost variance. What is the formula? 1 minus 2. Then 3 minus 2. Then 1 minus 3. Then 4 minus 3 and 1 minus 4. Only here you need to by heart it, because once you by heart this, it's gonna be same after that. See here. Here also what is the formula? 1 minus 2, 3 minus 2, 1 minus 3, 4 minus 3, 1 minus 4. Again it's gonna be 1 minus 2, 3 minus 2, 1 minus 3, 4 minus 3, 1 minus 4. You got it? Hello? Again it will be 1 minus 2, 3 minus 2, 1 minus 3. So it's gonna be exactly the same. Okay? You just need to learn the first one. So now tell me, what is the formula? 1 minus 2 for material cost variance, then 3 minus 2, then 1 minus 3, then 4 minus 3, then 1 minus 4. Clear? Right. Now tell me again, what is 1? What is 1? SQ into SP. 2, AQ into AP. 3, AQ into SP. 4, RAQ into SP. Clear? Now, first give me the classification now. Material cost variance will be divided into what and what? Price. MPV means what is that? Price variance and usage variance. Usage will be further divided into mix, yield. Okay. So when there is single raw material, what will be the classification? Cost variance, MCV, material cost variance will be divided into what and what? Price variance and usage. That's all. When there are multiple raw materials, only then your usage variance will be further divided into what? Mix as well as yield. Correct? Now, give me the formula. Cost variance, what is the formula? 1 minus 2. Then next 3 minus 2, which is price. Next 1 minus 3, then 4 minus 3, then 1 minus 4. Clear? Now what is 1? SQ into SP. 2, AQ into AP. 3, AQ into SP. 4, RAQ into SP. Now again, material cost variance. What is the formula? 1 minus 2. Price variance, 3 minus 2. Usage variance, 1 minus 3. Mix variance, 4 minus 3. Yield variance, 1 minus 4. Done? Sure, that's it. Will you get used to it? Because we'll be repeating this at least 50 times, more than 50 times by the time we finish up this chapter. Automatically you'll remember. You need not put in effort also. Don't worry about that. Ready? Yeah? Now let's try to understand one by one. First one. What is SQ? Now SQ means standard quantity of raw metal required for actual output. This is very, very, very important. Got it? What is SQ? Standard quantity of raw metal required for actual output. Generally people what they think is SQ means it is standard quantity of raw metal consumed. No, it is standard quantity of raw metal which you need to consume for actual output. Are you able to understand? SP means standard price. Very easy. Standard price of raw metal. Now anybody who has got doubt here, sir, SQ into SP is nothing but standard quantity of raw metal multiplied with standard price of raw metal, which is fine, which is nothing but standard cost. It is standard cost only because of this factor. What is this factor? Required for actual output. Suppose here it is not required for actual output and it is required for budgeted output. Then it will become what? Budgeted cost. That is why here itself I told you that your cost variance is the difference between what and what? Standard cost and actual cost. Not between budgeted cost and actual cost. So therefore here when it comes to this formula, if this is not required for AOP and if it is required for BOP, then this will become budgeted cost. Are you able to understand? Then 1 minus 2, 1 is budgeted cost, 2 is actual cost, then this will become, this is not variance. This is the difference between budgeted cost and actual cost in that case. That is not the cost variance. Cost variance means what? Standard cost and actual cost difference. So what you allow and what you incur. What you allow is nothing but this one. What you plan is for budgeted output. Are you able to understand? This is very, very, very important. So tell me, SQ means what? Standard quantity of raw metal required for actual output of finished goods. That's the actual meaning. In other words, raw material allowed. Raw material planned is budget. Raw material allowed is standard. Raw material actually consumed is actual. There are 3 variations here. What I plan initially, what I allow, and what you actually do. Clear? SP means what, Nana? Standard price. Very easy. AQ means what? Actual quantity of raw metal consumed. Here it is little bit tricky. Remember, because if you can see, we are using AQ two times. Correct? What is this 2? We are using it in price variance. Again, we are using AQ in what, Nana? Usage variance. And the AQ can be same in both the cases or it can be different also. What is that? I'll tell you. Listen carefully. Suppose AQ you're using for calculating price variance, MPV, right? Price variance usually will be calculated by which department? Purchase department is responsible. In that case, AQ will be actual quantity of raw metal purchased. AQ will be what, Nana? Actual quantity of raw metal purchased. But when you are using this AQ under usage variance, then AQ will be actual quantity of raw material consumed. Only if you consume, you'll know what is the usage variance. If you just purchase raw materials and if you keep it, will you know what is the usage variance? Usage variance means what? How many raw materials should be used? Initially, I've allowed how many raw materials you have actually used. That I'll come to know only when you use it. Are you able to understand? So therefore, when it comes to AQ here, it should be AQ consumed. When it comes to AQ here, it should be AQ purchased. But majority of the times, there will not be information in the question with respect to actual quantity of raw metal purchased. That information will not be given. When that information is not given, then in the place of actual quantity purchased, we'll be taking what, Nana? Actual quantity consumed only. Are you able to understand? In that case, AQ will be same for both the cases because of lack of information. When there is no information, I'll presume that actual quantity consumed is nothing but actual quantity purchased. You understand the point? Again, I repeat, it's a common sense only, Nana, not much difficult. When I'm calculating price variance, I should take actual quantity purchased. When I'm calculating usage variance, I should take actual quantity consumed. When there is no information with respect to purchase in the question, I'll take same, which is nothing but actual quantity consumed. Clear? Everybody? Right. Chalo. AP means what? Actual priced. RAQ means revised actual quantity. This is the actual one. Once I explain you the meaning, you will understand. Right now, just remember. RAQ means what? Revised actual quantity. But the naming in your study material is, it is called as RSQ. RSQ means revised standard quantity. The problem here is we are not revising standard quantity. We are actually revising actual quantity. Therefore, it should be called as RAQ. Look at the concept. What is the concept? Actual quantity rewritten in standard mix. So when you are revising actual quantity, it should be called as revised actual quantity. I cannot call it as revised standard quantity. Got it? But the concept is same. We'll go with this name only. But when you are solving the solution in your ICA, we'll just change the name as RSQ. Are you able to understand? Because if I change the name here itself, then I can't teach you the logic because the logic will exactly go opposite to the name. Then you will not digest the logic. Then everything will be difficult for you. So therefore, we'll go with the logic. We'll go with the right name. When we are solving the sum, what we'll do? In the place of RAQ, we'll just write RSQ. That's all. Little bit we'll remember. That's all. We'll be clear to that extent. Am I clear? Right. Now tell me, what is SQ? Standard quantity of raw metal required for actual output. In other words, raw material allowed. Only then it becomes standard cost. Remember. Next, what is SP? Standard price per unit of raw material. AQ, actual quantity purchased if it is price variance, actual quantity consumed if it is usage variance. Clear? Next, what is RAQ? Revised actual quantity. In other words, actual quantity rewritten in standard proportion. Again, I repeat, RAQ means what? Revised actual quantity. In other words, actual quantity rewritten in standard proportion. Am I clear? That's it. Are we done with this? Okay. Now one more time we'll revise. After that I'll go with the logics. Okay. Right. Now see here. Ready? Yeah. Okay. I don't think we have time for logics, but we'll see. Class is till 7 or 6:30? In your time it is given as 6:30 only. Yeah? Okay. 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 Now see here. Now tell me, Nana. First one, we are talking about material variances. First, give me the whole structure. Material cost variance will be divided into what and what? Price variance and usage variance. Usage variance will be further divided into mix and yield. Okay. Now, material cost variance, what is the formula? Top one, 1 minus 2, then 3 minus 2, then 1 minus 3, then 4 minus 3 and 1 minus 4. Clear up? Now, give me the formula of 1. What is 1? SQ into SP. 2, AQ into AP. 3, AQ into SP. 4, RAQ into SP. Now, what is SQ? Standard quantity of raw metal required for actual output. In other words, raw metal allowed. What is SP? Standard price. AQ? For price variance, it will be actual quantity purchased. Then for usage variance, it will be actual quantity consumed. Next, actual price. AP is actual price. Next, RAQ, revised actual quantity. In other words, actual quantity rewritten in standard proportion. Actual quantity rewritten in standard proportion. Right? I think that's enough today. Tomorrow, we'll go with the logics. See here, I gave you the logics for everything. I've explained you the logic behind the formula, and applying this logic without formula also will be solving. Are you able to understand? Hello, I gave you an example here. We'll be solving without formula also. But the problem is in the examination, it will take too much of time for us. You get it? Tomorrow we're going to finish off the logics. Logics will be heavy, so you have to concentrate a lot while doing that. But once we are done with the logics, okay, we'll start solving sums. Clear? There you will understand that with the help of formula we can solve. We can also, without the help of formula, applying logics also we can solve. Clear? Are we done? So tomorrow we'll see. Chalo. Let's wind up. We'll revise this tomorrow and then we'll go with the logics for the formula. Okay.